I live in the suburbs and our police force is notorious for doing next to nothing because it's such a safe town. We frequently joke about this incident a couple summers ago where police were called in to escort ducks across a street. That's how unbusy they are. In the local paper, they post a police blotter that's a report of all the things that have happened in the last week that people have called the police for. This is possibly one of my favorite columns in the local paper. It isn't just the ridiculousness of the incidents that's hilarious, it's also the way that the person writes it. It has this editorial tone that's like the person who's writing it understands that these are ridiculous incidents. So I'm going to read some of them, and obviously I'm not going to include street names or whatever because please don't stalk me, thanks. 7:27 p.m. A woman lost her silver MacBook after leaving it on top of her car when she drove away from a hair salon. 5:55 a.m. A woman sought help from police even though she refused to give them her address. 4:34 p.m. A careless window washer was getting passers-by wet as he washed windows on an avenue. 8:07 p.m. Two girls explained that they were lying on a sidewalk because they were looking for the pieces of a phone they dropped. 10 a.m. A fellow with spiky blonde hair walked into a man's house and threatened him with destruction. His threats included, "I'll pull the trigger, that man is evil and I will get him, and I'm waiting at the park for him." On his way out, the spiky-headed fellow broke a flag in a planter's box. Obviously the first part is a legitimate reason to call the police, but the last part, just the inclusion of that, makes me laugh. 2 p.m. Numerous ducks are waddling onto the road, prompting requests that the city build a fence around their pond. Later that same day, 4:59 p.m., a small girl was caught carrying a duck in a bag. A police officer determined that she and her friends just wanted to pet it. 7:37 a.m. Two missing beagles were returned to their owner thanks to the effort of Jill at the veterinary clinic. Thank you for telling us her name, Heroic Jill. 1:07 p.m. A woman on the street was stunned when a man ran through her front door and out her back door. He did not pause to give her an explanation of his conduct. 9:33 p.m. A singing drunk person was giving an impromptu concert in the alley between the Catholic school and the realtor's office. 1:54 p.m. Despite being kicked out of a bar the previous night, a man continues to inflict his unwanted presence. Legal removal is surely in his future. That last part just gets me. It's just so funny because the people call the police for these things and the police respond to these requests because honestly they have nothing better to do. Obviously I take for granted that I live in a very safe environment and I love laughing at the things in the paper, but I am glad that I don't live in a place that has real crime that the police need to attend to. They can attend to ducks crossing the road because there isn't actually any violence going on, and I love that, but at the same time it's hilarious to read about. And their sarcastic tone that they put on there is just hilarious, and it gets me every time. Every week I read this because it's just so funny. There's also a joke among teenagers in the summers to see whether they can get into the police blotter for doing ridiculous things. So they'll like play flashlight tag or set off a firework and the police will come and then they'll get in the police blotter and everyone jokes about it and it's like this big whole thing. It's almost like a badge of honor if you get into the police blotter because it's so ridiculous. I hope you enjoyed this. I'll see you tomorrow.